In this program we discuss pornography. Well, it's everywhere. Online, on TV, on billboards, on your smartphone, even down a major street in Auckland during lunchtime. It's difficult to avoid. But is it harmful? And should we be concerned about its increasing presence? Here's some statistics to put it in perspective. The online porn industry makes over $3,000 per second. More than a third of the internet industry is hardcore pornography. 90% of 8 to 16-year-olds have viewed internet pornography, sometimes multiple viewings. And multiple studies around the world argue its negative effects. I oppose pornography. I think it's harmful to men. I know the effect it can have. I've seen the effect it's had on friends and the negative effect it's had on society. But someone who completely disagrees with me is my guest Steve Crow, pornographer and the promoter of Boobs on Bikes and Erotica Expo. Steve, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Bob.
There's probably quite a bit we're going to disagree on, but firstly, one thing we probably will agree on is it's a growth industry, isn't it?
It is a growth industry, but I mean, that's a supply and demand issue. So yes, it's a growth industry. Traditional media is dying, but the online side of it is definitely growing.
But is there increased demand, or is it the supply is increasing, so there's just more around? You know, they're selling it very well.
No, I don't think it's increased supply. It's increased demand. But I mean, you'd expect that. I mean, the population's increasing. The over 18 population's increasing. So it's natural it is going to increase. It's also becoming far more acceptable in a lot of societies. So, but the big companies are actually dying off, and you're getting a lot more widespread smaller companies doing it now. The online people who nobody knows who they actually are.
There's huge money in it though, isn't there? I mean, we just read $3,000 per second.
I'm surprised it's that little.
Yeah.
To be honest. Yeah, there is huge money in it. There's very big money in it. Again, it's supply and demand. It's a marketplace, and there are some people making a heck of a lot of money out of it.
A university in Australia said this is not about couples going to the porn store to spice up their sex lives. Men in growing numbers are using porn in ways that are secret, shameful and damaging. It's having a damaging impact on intimacy and sexuality. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't. I don't agree with that. You know, I've been in the industry 20 years, and the biggest shift I've actually seen is the increase in women using it. You know, when I first launched Erotica, which was in 2000, 61 or 62% of our visitors were male. Today, 56% of our visitors are female. And that hasn't just been an aberration, that has been a gradual trend every year. We've seen the number of females attend go up and the number of males decline, or proportionally. We also see that with our online purchases. We have more and more female customers than we've ever had. So no, I actually don't agree with that at all.
Somebody said that, you know, the stats that I've read is that men are visual, they want the visual stuff, the women are into the chat rooms, they want the relationship type stuff. And that would make sense, wouldn't
anecdotally, you know, I'd agree with that, but the evidence actually doesn't stack that. I mean, you know, we do get a heck of a lot of women buying our physical products, our DVDs, our hardcore magazines. A lot of our purchases are women. Now, you could argue, I guess, that they're buying that for their men or whatever, I don't know. But the evidence just doesn't support that.
You see, if my wife looks at another guy, or someone's girlfriend looks at another guy, most men are going to, shackles are going to go up on their back, they're going to get a bit upset, they're going to get jealous, they're going to get possessive, they're going to be worried. Why is it then suddenly okay for a man to be able to do it, to be able to look at pornography, or even that woman to look at pornography, look at another person, see them in a sexual term, and that's okay? What's the difference?
Well, I don't actually know that what you just said is actually correct. I mean, maybe in your circle, but certainly not in my circle of friends. I think you're finding a lot more openness in a relationship these days. People are looking for ways to spice up their relationship.
Well, we're getting sick of monogamy? We're getting sick of faithfulness?
Has it ever been there, or has it been a farce?
Well, I think women have wanted it, haven't they?
Oh, really? You know, really?
Don't people aspire to marry, to have that one person?
I think they might aspire to, but I think for eons it's been a farce. I think the only difference between today and Queen Victoria's age is we have the media, we have the immediacy of being able to people knowing these things. It's always been there, it hasn't changed. Monogamy is a farce. There's
a difference between what we might desire or dream about, but what we actually act out on. And my suggestion would be that
we're more open about it now. I think it's been acted out. Well, it is. One's deceit and one's honesty.
Do kids want to see mum and dad with other people?
Well, I don't think they do it in front of the kids. You know, open relationships these days are quite normal. You know,
no,
they are. You would be surprised
I'll use your line, maybe in your circles, but not in mine.
You might be surprised in your line.
Okay, let's deal with. I think one of the big concerns about porn is that it's becoming more aggressive, and I mean, I even saw in a quote just recently where you said yes, it is becoming more extreme.
Yeah, and I would agree with that, and that is a concern. There's no doubt about it.
You are concerned about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I have always been a proponent of consensual sex by consenting adults for consenting adults to watch. I don't have a problem with that.
Why would you want to watch it though?
Well, I don't.
No.
It's not.
So you don't like porn watching?
It's not that I don't like it. It just doesn't. It's not my world. I don't actually. It doesn't particularly interest me. And you could argue that I'm desensitised because I've had 20 years in this industry and I've seen a lot of porn.
Were you ever interested in it?
No, not really.
No.
Even when I was a diver on the oil rigs, it's not something that I ever really went off and tried to look for. I prefer the real thing. So no, it's never been my thing, but it is obviously the thing of a lot of people.
More aggressive though? Is it more aggressive?
The market's demanding more aggression.
And why is that? I think it's because once you start down a track, you get some of it, you want more, you get onto the harder stuff. Same argument we would use for drug use.
You could argue the same, and I would be intending to agree with you there, that there has been, I mean, there is a fringe side of it. We're actually starting to see a lot, and we've actually a shift towards the story stuff, the more woman-friendly stuff.
Is that why women are getting more into it, because you're actually marketing to them?
No, we've started marketing to them because of the demand, not the other way around. Yeah, the demand came first. You know, we have only, in fact, just last month started releasing very soft titles, very soft covers. There's nothing that can be on GA shelf. The content inside is obviously explicit, but the covers are completely soft.
Okay, but you said you are concerned about the aggression, the hardness of the hardcore pornography. You know, what? Well,
it's the internet. It's the internet. It's the thing that you can find anything you want. I mean, if I want to go and watch a video of someone getting their head chopped off, as sick as that sounds, I can find probably a dozen on the internet within an hour.
Okay, and I guess the question is, therefore, is that good for society? I saw a study in the UK where they polled 1,000 18 to 24-year-olds, so sort of, you know, early 20-year-olds. They found that 8 out of 10 men viewed internet porn compared to just 1 in 3 women. And the other interesting thing was that men spent an average of 2 hours a week, whereas women spent just 15 minutes. So it suggests that men are much more likely to view it and to view it for longer times. Now, you would dispute that, but I
would dispute that.
I mean, still think in our human instinct, our human nature is that men view it. And
that was a very, very narrow and young age range when you think that the average person that goes to erotica is 32 years old. It tends to be 31 for males and about 34 for females.
But how do you know the women aren't just going along to accompany their partner who said...
Because, well, for a start, more women go than male. I don't know that. Obviously, I don't know that, other than our exit polls over the last 15 years or 14 years, you know, have been fairly extensive, and we've asked a lot of questions, and that doesn't come through in it at all. These women are making their choices, and you observe you probably haven't been to erotica, so...
No, I don't plan to either, Steve.
I'll give you a ticket. You observe the behaviour of the people in there, and it's the woman leading the guy. The men are quite shy in that social, sexual environment, whereas women are really open about it.
But that's why men love the internet, don't they? Because of that anonymity.
Probably, possibly so.
Okay,
possibly so.
Look, let me read some research. University of Calgary, they sort of summed up what a lot of social scientists and clinical psychologists and neurologists are saying. Is that viewing pornography leads to perceptions of sexual dominance, sexual role stereotyping, viewing persons as sexual objects, and aggressiveness. Now, personally, Steve, as a male, I can completely understand that where you're viewing women just for sexual pleasure, they become an object.
Again, I don't agree. I mean, and you can produce studies that flip side both sides.
But I haven't seen studies saying that pornography brings out the best out of people.
I've seen a heck of a lot of evidence that says sexual repression leads to sexual abuse of children. Let's look at the church.
Okay. Well,
between 1990 and 2000, 800 members of the clergy in Australia were prosecuted for sexual crimes against children. 800 prosecuted, not just charged. Prosecuted.
Okay, so
in that same period of time, not one person in the adult industry was charged with a crime against children.
Okay, well,
So,
actually, no, but that's not
you know.
that's not actually true, because one of the arguments is that child sex offenders, they actually find that they're more likely to view porn regularly.
No, I'm talking about, I said professionals, people in the industry. So you've got people in the sexually repressed community, if you like, of the church.
So you've got extremes then, haven't you?
Yeah, you have, but which is right. I mean, I would argue that people with the openness to view openly what they want to view, as long as it doesn't harm other people, and as long as it's not coercive, then there's no violence involved, then that is fine.
But your pornography does involve violence, and
No, it
that's the
doesn't.
concern, doesn't it?
No, it
but
doesn't.
you yourself agree that it's becoming more aggressive?
Not mine.
So you deliberately stay clear of
Yeah,
aggressive
we do
porn?
not deal in that stuff.
What's the problem with it, though? I mean, if it's consenting
Well,
adults...
firstly, I'm not going to waste $1,100 trying to get it through the censor. That's a commercial decision, because it's not going to pass. Secondly, I disagree with it. I'm very strongly against violence to women, and I have...
But what if it's consenting violence towards it?
Well, then that's fine. I mean, if you and your wife like to nail each other to the wall and have sex, if that's what you're into, that isn't my problem. I don't agree with it, but
Hey,
that's cool.
Steve, it's interesting you say you and your wife. I mean, there is a basic assumption, I think, in
you and your partner, then.
No, but there is a basic assumption in human nature that there is a person you are faithful to, that there's a level of intimacy, and people desire that, I think, deep down.
I think maybe they desire it, but I don't believe it's that big a reality for most people these days.
Well, my argument is
I've
that
been married
pornography...
twice, and I always thought I'd been married once, and that would be it. It just didn't work that way.
My argument would be that pornography actually weakens that desire. It weakens the kind of community expectations.
I think it richens that environment. You know, 20, 30 years with the same person can get pretty boring, you know, but people who have a bit of openness in their relationship, however that may be, and I'm not saying it necessarily needs to involve swapping or anything like that, but if they are into experimenting, watching a bit of porn, if that's what they're into, toys, whatever, they've got a far more enriched life, adult life.
Just very quickly, are you concerned about the effect of porn on young people? I mean, younger people are getting more and more access to it. Would you like to see the door completely shut on access to porn for young people?
I mean, it's an R18. It's an R18 product.
Yeah, you know for a fact.
Yeah,
that people are going to consume it.
You know, I think the whole focus on sex is ridiculous. You know, an 18-year-old in New Zealand, by the time someone reaches 18, has watched. It's like 15,000 murders on television. 15,000 murders. They're illegal. They're pretty degrading to the person who's getting killed. But we're allowed to watch those. A person turning 18 in New Zealand has not legally seen one act of consensual sex between adults. Now, that's absurd. They're allowed to watch someone getting murdered, stabbed, you know, whatever.
Well, they probably do on the same movies, and that's the concern.
Yeah, but they're not allowed
violence.
to. You know, and the whole... I just don't understand that focus on the sex thing. Focus on the violence, certainly.
Maybe it's back to the addiction thing. It becomes addictive, and therefore and
In
objectifies.
that argument, then murder becomes addictive. If I've watched 18,000 murders by the time I'm 18, you know, oh, hell, it must be acceptable. Can I go out and do that?
I think we're also sexual beings, and so you're tapping into a big energy force within every one of us, aren't you?
Yeah, we are. I think we're also there's also an underlying violence in a lot of people as well. You know, unfortunately. We are a sexual being from the day we're born to the day we die. And I think the fact that the church, and it is the church, over the last few eons have made sex into this taboo that it really, and we're a biological animal.
Is it a taboo, or they're just saying, hey, there's some grounds, there's protection, and, you know, put protective factors around it to get the best out of it? That's not necessarily a bad thing, is it? Tell kids to stay away from too much McDonald's and fast food takeaway.
Yeah, but see, I don't think sex is harmful.
No, it's not in the right environment.
You know, I don't think sex is harmful at all. And I mean, you demystify it. I mean, why is it a big deal here when a girl goes topless on a beach? Because, oh, it's well. Hell, you go to Greece or somewhere, people don't even look twice.
Steve, we've had this argument. We're sitting here wearing clothes. I mean, why aren't we naked? Because it's a community standard. That's a good thing, isn't it? We're out of time, but Steve, I appreciate you coming on the program.
You're welcome.